Blessings, and more blessings to you on this beautiful Sunday evening, early evening. Hmm. Welcome to Sunday Night Alive, a time and place where we come together to see what it means to live a life of spiritual power, to see what it means to transcend the worry, doubt, and fear of the world. We come together really to have conversations that could have a potential impact on our futures and a potential impact on the world in which we live. So my name is Reverend Denise Schubert. I am the founder and creator of A Life of Spiritual Power. Sunday Night Alive is an expression of that work, and I am so happy to be here with you tonight. If you are here with me tonight, please use the comments and say hello so I know that I'm not amusing myself on this StreamYard channel. I'm very excited about tonight's topic. It's a game changer if we let it be a game changer. So, as you all know, I am deeply, deeply committed to having very deep conversations in a very short period of time. So we have like in half an hour, but I say that you can transform your life in half an hour. That's what I say. Hi, Brian. So happy to see you. So, our topic tonight is really the distinction, a distinction to be made between mind and the brain, or brain and the mind. And it may sound a little deep, and I mean, who really knows? I truly, the speaker here, I am the speaker. I am not an expert on the brain or on the mind. People have been, philosophers and theologians have been talking about this for more years than I've been alive, than any of us have been alive. But I know a little bit and I study a lot, so I think we can make an exploration that will be inherently valuable to you and I as seekers. So that's our topic. But before we do that, I would love to speak a word of blessing upon us. To bless something is to call it sacred, to name it sacred. You know, the truth is all of life is sacred. The truth is we live in a spiritual universe. We are spiritual beings who have incarnated into these carbon-based bodies for the purpose of experience and growth. So every time we can remember to remember that we're engaged in spiritual activities and not human activities, the better off we will be, because the human scene is run by the ego. The human scene is a raging ocean of emotions and judgment and who's right, who's wrong, and fear and doubt and worry. And I'm over that. I want you to be over that too, because there's another way of knowing, another way of being, another way of living. And I want to spend the rest of my life imparting that in whatever way I can to everyone I come in contact with. So let's just take a moment while I bless our time together. So turn within with me. Turning within simply means closing your outer eyes if comfortable doing that, opening your inner eyes, letting the world of people, places, conditions, situations, and circumstances, the past, to simply be where they are, because they are, in truth, a part of an already manifested world. And when we turn within, we're turning within to the space, the creative space within us. We're turning within to the power we have to bring forth that which is not visible yet. And most importantly, we bring ourselves into the presence of God, into the presence of this infinite and unconditional love, the presence of this lover of our souls, where we are so loved, so respected, so held in high regard and high esteem. It is the truth of our being. And so it is from that place that I bless our time together, absolutely knowing that if we've come together, we are here by divine appointment, that the spirit within always leads us to the places and people and substance that we need to continue to evolve into our greatest yet to be. And so I call this evening together good and very, very good. We let it be together, and so it is, and so we let it be. Amen. I apologize a little bit to my Naples family because I decided that the best thing to do is to allow Sunday Night Alive to be a continuation of our Thursday nights at Unity Naples called Spiritual Perspectives. And this week we talked about the distinction between the brain and the mind. But in all fairness, I think repetition sometimes is very, very good when we're on our spiritual path. So please forgive me and please enjoy as we move into this again tonight together. So here's the starting point for our conversation. The body, the physical body, is an amazing, amazing work of art. It is an amazing work of science. It is so complex and so perfect in every possible way. We have organs of circulation, organs of digestion, organs of we have circulation to we have we breathe, organs of breath, of taking in air and distributing it into every cell and organ and function and action in our body temples. So the heart pumps our blood, right? The kidneys clean our urine. The liver cleanses our food and the toxins so that we might be comfortable in this incarnation. And this is an incarnation. You chose to be in the body for however long you're in the body, a year, 10 years, 50 years, 100 years, 110 years. And when we are no longer in the body, we'll do something else. But I want us to really understand that the body, that we of our own selves did not make this body. Now we can mess with it and cause it some distraction. But I love the quote by Browning, who says, "We humans, man can desecrate but never lose the divine spark. It is always there." So no matter how lost we have been, no matter how disconnected from our source we have been, no matter how forgetful we've been about our being here and why we're here, it doesn't really matter. That God is always being God as you, always. But for the moment, for the conversation, you and I did not make this amazing machine. So why that's important in the conversation is because your brain in and of itself is an organ just like the heart. So the heart's purpose is to distribute blood and oxygen. The brain's purpose is to, well, it has many, many purposes, but simply to do all the automatic functions like breathing and heart beating and all of that, which we don't have to think about. It's very natural and automatic. It also is, we use it to deduce and to think and to plan and to organize. It holds our memory. But the brain, in and of itself, doesn't function in and of itself, as does any of our organs. Any of our organs, if taken outside of the body that God created, do not function. What's important about this? Well, something's behind. So there is the body, there is you, let me back up. There is the body, there is the personality that has been conditioned from birth to think it's the body or to think it's the brain. But there is another something that must be at play here, because We do not breathe our own breath. We do not beat our own hearts. We do not see through our eye. There is something that's looking through our eyes. If you take the eyes out of the body, they do not see. If you take the nose off the body, it does not smell. There is some kind of entity, some kind of thinker behind the body. And that's what we want to talk about tonight. We want to talk about this idea that in you is a capacity to be the observer of the entire human experience. You can watch it, you can observe it. And I don't want to minimize this because it is your power. It is the divine of you. It is your higher power. You know, the brain, the brain on its own as a conditioned organ is very much like a raging ocean. Have you ever noticed how emotions come and they go, memories come and they go? We regurgitate the past over and over again. It feels, the brain's part of the brain's function is to think. And have you ever noticed, do exactly that? It thinks incessantly. It thinks without being asked to think. It thinks whether you want to think or not. And if you're not sure about that, then you need to try meditating. Turn off your phone, turn off your television, close your door and sit. And then see how long it is before the brain begins to throw up things for you to deal with. Your to-do list, your groceries, shopping, your work, your your upsets with the world or with other people. It's like it is a raging ocean, turbulent and never ending, never ceasing. So it's very easy because we're in bodies, we're embodied, we are embodied beings. It's very, very easy to think that who you are is in here. In fact, it's natural to think that. Everyone thinks that. Everyone thinks, I am Denise. I am 72 years old. I live in Florida. I'm a minister, a New Thought minister. I'm 5 pounds overweight, whatever. It's very, very easy to get entangled in the story of us. But behind that story is another story. Behind that story is something so good and so empowering and so better than that. Because it is possible for your life and for your mind to be, rather than a raging ocean, to be rather like a summer lake. Still, right? Calm, poised, powerful, confident. So I would like you to entertain the idea that rather than you thinking that who you are is defined inside your skull, right? And here's a brain, and it's because of your brain that you exist. I would like to entertain the idea that you are a birthless, deathless, uniquely personalized and individualized expression of life. That you had consciousness before you came into the body, that you will have consciousness when you leave the body, and that you have consciousness now. That rather than your consciousness being inside the body, that your body is inside your consciousness, that you are an expression of something that is timeless and eternal and whole and perfect. Now, if we could grasp that and live that, and I'm not actually suggesting to you that this is an easy awareness or a natural awareness. I think it takes work and it takes attention and it takes conscious awareness, more than we can possibly really, very, very few human beings, and how shall I word this? Very, very few embodied spirits have learned that they are embodied spirits and lived from that place of knowing. Very, very few. And there are some, there are some that did it beautifully with the Buddha, Jesus. Well, those are the two that come to mind. There are some who have done it better than most people have done it, like Wayne Dyer, Thich Nhat Hanh, some of our great sages, our Indian gurus. There are some humans who have come to a greater understanding of the truth of their eternality and the truth of their power and ability to direct the activities of the brain. The brain, I think, is very, very much like a radio when it comes to consciousness, right? So it both transmits and receives, transmits and receives. But whatever it is, it's not enclosed. Now, the transmission is very good news because it informs you that you matter in the grand scheme of things. Because when I say, when we talk about you being a consciousness and your body is an expression of that, that's true for everyone. And it begs to begin to think about, what is our relationship to God? What is our relationship to life? Like, are we little separate entities, or are we connected in some meaningful way? Well, I would suggest that we are connected in every meaningful way. We are like, I think it was Reverend Charles Barker or Eric Butterworth. I'm not sure. I confuse these two unity ministers because I love them both so much. But one of them said, God is not in us like a raisin in a roll. Right? So it's not like you're over here and God is in you. He says we're more like God is the ocean, and we're more like waves on the ocean. Each and every one of us, like we are part of something bigger. I like also the analogy of being leaves on the same tree. That God or life, whatever you want to use, whatever you want, word you want to use to describe this something greater than you is fine with me. I'm not attached to the word God. I just don't have any resistance to it. But some people do have resistance. So you can use life or the quantum field or universal intelligence or unconditional love, whatever it is. It's like the root system of a tree. And as we, as individualized expressions, we are like leaves on that tree. Now, there's a very beautiful analogy, metaphor that was made that if you cut off a limb from the tree and it's no longer connected, then the limb will die and the leaves will wither. But we are connected. So when we stay connected to our source, stay connected to that which created us, stay connected to that which nourishes us, then we can thrive and we can grow. So because our brain is an organ designed for the experience of being a human in this body, just like the heart and the kidneys and the liver, the pancreas, all of it matters. We can transmit, and you do transmit. So I think it was Abraham Hicks who said, in your joy, you offer the world joy. In your pain, you offer the world pain. In your hate, you offer the world hate. In your contentment, you offer the world contentment. So who you are, what you do, how you think, how you show up matters on every possible level. It impacts the quality of life on this planet for everyone. It impacts all of those you are connected to. So it's not like you can be a cranky, mean person and it doesn't matter. It matters. It doesn't mean that you can be a loving, happy, contented person. It doesn't matter. It matters so deeply. So in addition to being a transmitter, your brain is also a receiver. Now, let's talk about mind. I want to introduce now this idea of mind. So mind has been used as another word for God in a certain aspect of God. So God is spirit, and God is mind, and God is the manifested universe. Threefold nature of God: spirit, mind, body. And this mind is like the atmosphere we live in. It's a field of thought, a field of thought. So in race consciousness or the Akashic records, this field of thought contains everything anyone has ever thought, anyone has ever felt, ever said, ever experienced. It's like this potpourri of consciousness. And we are a single individualized point of consciousness. So not only do we add to the all that there is, but we take from the all that there is. Now, in this field of mind is good shit, good stuff and not so good stuff. And you, as your brain, as a receiver, your individualized use of mind as a receiver, can take on the good stuff or the bad stuff. If you're not careful, it was Emerson who said, stand guard at the portal of your mind. Because if you don't, all kinds of crap can get in there, all kinds of judgment and anger and hatred and unfounded belief systems and judgments. Now, you may and may not want them, but until you awaken to the distinction between your mind and your brain, you won't know that you have choice. You will think that whatever's in your brain is the right thing. You will think that whatever you think is the right thing to think. And I'm going to tell you that if you're over 2 years old, you've been taught what to think from the moment of your birth. You've been taught what's right, what's wrong, who's good, who's bad, what religions work. You've been taught to love things and hate things, and it's all until we become aware. It's all inside this encased. This, I call it sausage. Like we're sausages, we're beings encased in a body, thinking that if this is all that there is, and it's clearly not all there is. There is another dimension of you and another dimension of life that we can tap into. Einstein said, who Einstein, from his point of view and from the world's point of view, proved that God is real, whatever that means to you. I mean, God is clearly not an old man in the sky on clouds, judging some, favoring some, but God is the presence of beauty and unconditional love, perfect peace, the creator of all that there is. And Einstein recognized that we can participate in the mind of God because it's shared airspace. I'm going to say that again. Mind, different from the brain, is shared airspace. It's a playground. It's a place where we upload to and we download from. And Einstein here is just saying, I want to know what God thinks, and the rest are details, because whatever God thinks is what's going to happen. Now, I love also the quote by Mahatma Gandhi, who says, I will not let anyone walk through my mind with their dirty feet, which simply means, in my interpretation, that we have to be careful because every single living being has their history, their past, their domestication, their orientation, their conditioned mind. And sometimes, until we are awakened, it can be nasty out there. There could be a lot of hate, a lot of judgment, a lot of meanness, a lot of I remember my mother, this is a true story. I was in my ministerial training, so I was very aware of what was happening because I had already kind of broken open my concept of the mind versus the brain. And in her final years, she was a little bedridden, and she would lay in bed and she would listen to she would listen to a lot of radio where what was espoused were conspiracy theories and hatred over certain ethnic groups or religions or countries. And she became so, I watched her. She moved from this tolerant, accepting, loving person into this judgmental, confident espouser of what was wrong with the world and everyone in it. And I could see the direct correl. And by the way, she would listen to this while she was sleeping. She would turn on the radio and then fall asleep. So she was listening to this hatred and this stuff all night long, soaking into her subconscious. And it's all because she let it in. So when Emerson said, stand guard at the portal of your mind, he's talking about being careful what you let in. That we have the capacity to choose what to think. We have the capacity to observe that we are thinking and that we are thinkers. Now, can you ever, the mind, the brain thinks incessantly. A monkey, it's called the monkey mind, right? You can't really control it. I mean, if you try to control thought, you're good luck with that. But you can become, and my suggestion from tonight is to cultivate the ability to watch what you're thinking, to become aware of your mind. I have this little magazine here called Change Your Thinking. That's a Unity magazine. And the author of this particular article, um, who is it? Elizabeth Longo. She wrote this article on changing your thinking, and she says, uh, life is a play of consciousness. We are all living our own movies in a never-ending loop of projections until we have an awakening. So until you awaken, until you can distinguish between the brain and the mind, between you as an ego and you as a consciousness, that process is called awakening or stepping into awareness. And she says, until we have an awakening and realize that we can undo our stories and create a greater reality. So that is what we're doing here on Sunday Night Alive. That is what I am doing in life, is working the best I can to awaken consciousness, to awaken the individual to a greater idea of who they are and what's possible for them in their life, what's possible for us in our life. Osho says the key is to become a witness to your own mind. She said, first we must be aware of our thinking, our beliefs, and the endless chatter going on in our minds. Once aware, we must be willing to question our thinking and choose thoughts that serve our highest calling. Now, this is a little bit not as easy as it sounds, and a little bit much easier than it sounds. So the big deal is to do, so here's what I want you to do. I want you to meditate. And when you're meditating, I want you to watch I want you to watch your brain. And you don't have to change it. You don't have to do anything. Just notice how it throws up thoughts. It throws up limitations. It throws up judgments. It throws up the past. I remember when I first decided to become a minister, and it was, and I was about the farthest thing away from being a minister. I mean, you couldn't have gotten too much further. I guess maybe if I was a serial killer, it would be further, but clearly in my life, I was a type A personality. I was enmeshed in corporate America. I smoked. I was overweight. I was married I was very, very far away from being an awakened human being. But something happened. Something happened where I was pushed by pain, right? We've talked about that before, pushed by pain or pulled by vision. I was pushed by pain into saying really down on my knees one day. I was on my knees, literally and figuratively, begging to a God I didn't know existed, saying, please, dear God, give me something useful to do. I've had enough of everything this world has to offer from my limited perspective. So I know that a shift in consciousness is possible. I know that becoming a different order of being is possible. I know that having a different quality of life is possible, and all that's required for you and every human being to have that is to change the way that they think. And in order to change the way that you think, you have to become aware that there is a consciousness in back of you that is grounded in God, grounded in spirit. So there's God's mind and your mind. There's God's heart and your heart. We are not destined to be cut off from God's mind or God's heart. We are inevitably always connected. It's always available. When we say God is, there's nowhere where God is not, we mean right where you are. But there's something in us that has to meet the divine where it is. And so as you meditate this week, as you become still, begin to watch your thoughts, begin to analyze what you believe and why you believe it. Because the moment you can do that, you then become a chooser. You become the one who can choose. Does that belief serve me? And we have so many of them. We have so many limiting beliefs. I'm not worthy. I'm not good enough. I don't have enough education. I'm not pretty enough. I'm not smart enough. We have so many assessments other people have made about us that we've accepted as true. You're not smart enough. You're not committed. You're not good enough to make the grade. All of that, it's just baloney. It's got nothing to do with you as a body of consciousness who chose to incarnate on this earth for the purpose of experience and growth. So I want you to practice making that distinction this week, because you can and you will change your consciousness from a raging ocean to a summer lake. You can refuse to participate in conversations or activities or material that upsets you, angers you, makes you resentful, regretful, guilty. You don't have to do it, because remember, the brain is going to take that. But you can choose to stand guard. You just stand guard at your mind and say, no, you're not coming in here. I refuse to let people. This quote may make more sense now. I refuse to let anyone walk through my mind with their dirty feet. Now, don't, if you are questioning, you can say, well, how do you know this is true, Denise? How do you know? Well, I do know. I do know intuitively, and I do know because I've studied the power of prayer and the power of meditation. You know, uh, why would we, in our faith and our philosophy, faith and way of life, we do what's called affirmative prayer, and we pray to align ourselves with the harmony of God. We align ourselves with prosperity. We align ourselves with joy. We align ourselves with all of the things that we believe are our divine inheritance. And we do it because we've been indoctrinated to not be aligned with those things. Fear, doubt, worry, sadness, morbidity, all of those things are part of the human drama. But we want to choose and can choose. I, from this moment forward, do not want to participate in that human drama. I want to participate in the solution to whatever ails this earth: environmental, war, violence, disenfranchisement. I do not no longer want to participate in the lack of love and support and radical love and support. You can declare that. And you can declare, I now open myself to divine guidance. I open myself to ways in which I can grow in that direction. So we affirm our oneness and unity with life, the goodness of life. We affirm and know that our past can have no power over us the moment that we say it can have no power over us. And I know I make it sound simple, but in some ways it is that simple because we live in a mind, we live and breathe and have our beingness in a universal space. So you can call in what you need, you can put out what you want. And when you do that, your life will begin to change. You will begin to attract like minded people. You will begin to attract substance. God knows that we need to pay our rent. God knows that we need to have cute shoes and manicures. So any idea of lack is a false idea because the world is abundant. God is abundant. You are abundant. So she says in this article, she goes, little by little, I trained my brain to focus on my worth and on my divine powers. I paid attention to my thoughts and no longer allowed self-defeating thoughts to take the best of me. Now I know it looks like and feels like the world needs to change in order for us to change. But I'm going to tell you it's exactly the other way. When you change, you and your world will change. Enough of us do this, and life will change for everyone, for our children, our grandchildren, their grandchildren. I was listening to I can't remember his name now, but he's the founder of a movement called inner engineering. He's an Indian guru, quite inspiring. And I was listening the other day, and he was talking about how we have spent so much time engineering our outer world, and we are so good at it, right? We have all the technology, artificial intelligence, we have, God, so cell phones and debit cards, so much. Every day as a senior citizen, I'm so grateful for the technology because it makes my life so easy. But we've spent so little time on our inner engineering, so little time looking at ourselves, working on ourselves, doing what we need to do in here so that we can live life from the inside out rather than from the outside in. So I want to close tonight with two final thoughts. One is to keep your mind life friendly or life affirming. Do your best to keep your mind free of judgment and hatred, of jealousy, of comparing, of pride, all of those things that would separate us from love. And to keep your mind life friendly, life affirming, to be grateful, to look for beauty, to connect with people, to be kind, to be compassionate. And it's a choice we make. You are not destined to be cranky. You are destined to be loving. Yes, say it. Say it to yourself. I am destined to be loving, not destined to be cranky. And the second thing to leave you with is that because we live in a creative medium, which I'm calling mind, could also be called God or the creative process, the quantum field of unlimited possibilities and potential. The universe is listening to you. That when you think, the universe is listening to what you think. And the universe is working hard to give you what you think because God, we have free will. And the creative process is according to each person and what they think and call forth. So ask the universe an empowering question instead of a disempowering question. Ask the universe a life affirming question rather than a life denying question. And this is not simple because it has to do with your view of your worthiness to receive. But so instead of saying, well, oh God, why am I always so broke? When you ask that question, the universe is going to tell you. And show you and reinforce for you. And you don't want that. You want to ask the question, universe, please show me, how can I be more prosperous? And then you wait and you listen and you obey. You read the book, you follow your intuition, because the universe will answer the question, oh, Denise, how you could be more prosperous is to follow this idea, to call this company, to whatever it is. Ask the universe the right questions and keep your mind life friendly. So that is our lesson tonight on the brain and the mind. I leave you with absolutely this invitation to meditate more, because your summer lake is the result of you watching your mind, observing your mind. The very fact that you are observing and watching without reaction will begin to quiet the turbulence inside of you. It will begin to bring to you a more peaceful, calm, trusting countenance, which cannot help but benefit every single area of your life. Yes? Do you say yes to this? I hope you do. All right, so next Sunday, we're talking about integrity and congruence, also very, very important conversations for those of us on the journey of awakening. A couple of things before I pray us out. If you would like to support my ministry financially with your love offerings and tithes, I say yes to you to doing that. It's we live in a universe of giving and receiving, so there's something very powerful about participating in your own awakening. You can do that through my website, through donations, or you can also do it through PayPal, Zelle, or Venmo to revdschubert@gmail.com. I do want you to know that every love offering I receive for doing this work goes towards my returning to South Africa to visit my family there. So I thank you for that in advance. If you are interested in life coaching, spiritual life coaching, to really have somebody who has your soul's growth as their primary objective, to listen and to really support you in moving into Summer Lake territory, you can reach me at revdschubert@gmail.com. I would be happy and honored to do that with you. Otherwise, you can go to my website, which is DeniseSchubert.com, which has past blogs and also amazing pictures of African animals, my brothers and sisters. So otherwise, that is it for tonight. So I'm going to pray with us. And we are going to leave our time anchoring our awakening together. So take a deep breath. You could even in this moment just pause and watch, what's the thought that arises? How are you feeling? Just watch it. It's called the observer effect, or the watcher. So relax your shoulders, relax your jaw. Just come into this awareness with me of the universe we live in. It is so expansive, so eternal, so much more than we think it is. It's not just 8 billion of us living on a dust ball hurling through space. That we live in a spiritual universe governed by love, governed by spiritual laws and principles. We are spiritual beings having chosen to be here, to occupy this amazing physical body that God created so that we could do this. And it knows how to live on this planet. Our job is to know how to live on this planet, coming from the perspective of the divine entity that we are. We are one with our Creator. We are one with this power, this presence that I call love, or unconditional love, or infinite life. And so I know that we are connected one to another exactly like leaves on a tree, exactly like grains of sand, exactly like snowflakes, exactly like waves on an ocean. And so that love is a truth between our souls, right now, before, and forevermore. It's true for each and every one of us, regardless of what color we are, what sex we are, where we live, our religion, that we are all fed by the same root system. And so, because I know that we live in a universe that is creative, that creates according to the word spoken, felt, and expressed, that I claim for each one of us that we become more conscious, more awake, more aware of our beliefs, of our unquestioned beliefs, things we hold as true and right, the um, the white elephants in the room, the untouchables in the room, that we from this moment forward open our minds and open our hearts to think something new, to feel something new, to be something new. We live and move and have our being in a field of unconditional love and self regard, regard for the self that we are. And so I'm grateful. I'm grateful to pause for this 45 minutes once a week to see the truth about each other, to love each other, to honor our paths, to honor the wars we've fought and won, the wars we've fought and lost, but to know that from this moment forward, we move in a different direction, life affirming, life friendly ways of being. And so, for all of this and so much more, I am grateful. I'm so grateful for you. I love you. Have a wonderful week. If I don't see you between now and next Sunday, I will see you next Sunday at 6 p.m. for Sunday Night Alive.